Very warm welcome. Thank you once again for joining us. We'll begin the bulletin with this news that has been making headlines all over today. Now, the man who has been at the helm of Sports, Culture and Arts Ministry, Rashid Echesa, has been sacked in a mini reshuffle effected by President Uhuru Kenyatta this morning. In the changes outlined in Executive Order 3 of 2019, President Kenyatta said Echesa's appointment had been revoked under Article 152, Section 5 of the Constitution. The performance of the dethroned Sports Cabinet Secretary has been put to question on several occasions. Now, President Kenyatta has been moving two key parastatals from his ministry just 6 months after he appointed him to office. Now, of course, if we look a bit closer at the trajectory of Echesa, he was born in Shibale, Mumias, born and brought up in a poor family of 8. He attended Shibale Primary School from 1990 to 1997. Due to the lack of school fees after his formal education, Echesa landed a job as a casual laborer loading sugar at Mumias Sugar Factory. There was a little bit of background behind Echesa and where he has come from. Of course, as that particular story unfolds and the details keep on emerging, we'll keep you up to date right here. Moving forward now, Stanbic Holdings PLC has posted 6.3 billion shillings, risen its net profit for the year ending December 2018. This is a rise and it represents a 46% growth from the previous year's 4.3 billion shillings. Now, the improved performance has been linked to a growth in customer loans and deposits. According to the company's chief executive officer, a stable macroeconomic environment coupled with new product lines has cemented the bank's foothold in the Kenyan market. Stanbic Bank's loan grew by 12%, the loan book from last year's 130.5 billion to stand at 146.6 billion.
We saw a 12% growth in our loans in the past year. We, of course, also executed some landmark deals in our investment banking and our commercial banking space as well. We also continue to grow our digital platforms, and we'll demonstrate some of them as we go along, some of the new platforms that we allowed and that we launched in the course of the year, which have enabled payments for a number of areas. For example, taxes, bills, school fees, and we know we're giving some kind of short-term loans, what we call weekend loans, to some of the distributors who needed facilities across the organization.
In a year that saw not one but two central bank rate cuts, a 14% increase in our net interest income, which was driven by a growth in our customer loans and advances, speaks to our commitment to continue funding our customers' growth.
All right, moving forward from that to insurance regulation. The Insurance Regulatory Authority is set to tighten regulations to protect consumers from being defrauded by unscrupulous businesses. In an exclusive interview with IRA CEO Godfrey Kiptum, the state regulator also unveiled its 5-year strategic plan, which details how it will deepen insurance penetration in the country, which has remained extremely low.
Well, many thanks for joining us. Indeed, a lot happening in the insurance industry. And I'm now joined by the man who literally is the regulator of the industry, and that is Godfrey Kiptum, the CEO of the Insurance Regulatory Authority. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank you.
And you've just launched your strategic plan for 2018 to 2022. What should the market expect?
We expect that in the coming few years we expect growth. Mm-hmm. We expect that the market that has not been accessed by our insurers will be accessed. Mm-hmm. And we shall continue to create awareness, to create knowledge, mm-hmm. and ensure that the market plays its rightful role in protecting the people of this country.
Mm-hmm.
So the authority is going to put in great effort in the coming 5 years to ensure that this is done, this is achieved, and that the people of this country are protected through insurance.
All right. So if you're to break it down to the common mwananchi, what should they expect? Stiffer regulations, a more robust kind of approach towards managing the industry? What are some of the high, quick expectations we should look forward to as people who pay insurance?
The two main important goals is that the insurers have financial stability to pay claims as and when they arise, and also for the mwananchi to be protected through insurance. So we'll expect that mwananchi will be able to insure their crops, they will be able to insure their houses, they'll be able to insure their domestic goods and everything else that they need for protection, so that they can have a smooth life and they don't fall through the abyss.
All right. And finally, what are your projections in terms of growth for the insurance industry, and what is the current size of the industry?
Currently, we have premiums of around 230 billion Kenya shillings. This gives us penetration of about 2.8%. We foresee growth in the coming days, and we want to drive this agenda and ensure that we get penetration in excess of 3%. Currently, 2.8% is good for Africa, but is not where we want to be. We want to ensure that we increase the coverage and we grow that penetration, and that many more people can be able to access insurance for their everyday life.
All right. And of course, CEO, I cannot leave without asking you this question on fraud. It is a big component in the insurance industry. We've not seen the regulator taking stringent action on people found to be rogue in the industry. How do you plan to deal with this, especially where we see people losing their hard-earned savings, people colluding to defraud companies, and companies eventually being unable to run in a sustainable manner?
For your information, Mr. Agina, the authority set up an insurance fraud investigation unit in 2011. This unit has had a lot of achievements, and they have arrested many conmen and fraudsters that have been in the prowl in the market. And as we speak now, yesterday the National Assembly passed a bill, an amendment to the Insurance Act, that brings in stiffer measures for people who perpetrate fraud in this sector. So we expect that going forward, we will have many more prosecutions. And of course, the most important thing is to stop fraud from happening rather than prosecuting at the end. So we have put in robust mechanisms to stop fraud in the beginning, and not to rely only on prosecutions and deterrence that is given to us by the law. But going forward, it is going to be tough for those fraudsters.
All right. And how much do we lose to fraudsters?
Well, we have no concrete estimates, but it has been estimated at between 20 and 30% of the claims are fraudulent.
All right. Thank you, Bwana Godfrey Kiptum.
Thank you very much.
Wish you all the best, and of course, we'll be putting you to task even as the days go by. Well, we've been having an exciting conversation there on the future of the insurance industry and what the regulator has in store for players in the industry. My name is Abe Agina, reporting for KTN Business at the KICC.
All right, thank you very much, Abby, for that particular interview. That is with the IRA CEO, Geoffrey Kiptum. Now let's move on. Inheritance has become a common debate in Kenya, especially after the new constitution took effect in 2010. Now, a survey conducted by Pensions Administrator Ian Wealth Financial Services in partnership with Strathmore University and Human Resource Management sought to analyze the behavior and attitudes of Kenyans towards wealth creation and inheritance. Here's more on that story.
The Kenya National Bureau of Statistics data shows that 26.2% of households have experienced conflict due to succession of wealth in Kenya. Testament to these are findings of a recent study by N-Wealth Conversations Forum. It has revealed that 60% of Kenyans do not have a written will, while 40% rely on the next of kin nominations. Of the remaining percentage, 20% make verbal declarations and 5% confide in one family member as a way of formalizing their succession.
From the database, a database of employed Kenyans who have a pension scheme that is administered by N-Wealth Financial Services, 41% claimed to have a will, a written will, a formal will. 60% say that they do not have a formal will. Yet, over 80% felt that a written will is important, and that created the gap. Why do you have another extra 40% who think it's important but don't go through the process of it?
In the study, majority of Kenyans have knowledge about having a will in place. People with asset value below 5 million shillings and above 100 million shillings are most concerned about leaving an inheritance for their children, as the importance of leaving an inheritance varies across different age groups.
For an average respondent, they have invested 47% of their wealth in land and buildings. Then the 16% of it in pensions, 16% in SACCOs, treasury bills and bonds are 3%, and cash is about 11%. So you can see we have a lot of trust in shamba and buildings. So, and maybe it could be that these assets are highly valued.
Although most Kenyans opt to invest in land as an asset or real estate, most prefer pension funds, others SACCOs and cash. This notwithstanding, 98% of Kenyans expect their lifestyle to be the same or better during retirement.
And now on to agriculture. Youth involved in the agribusiness sector from the Lake region stand to benefit from the competitive platform launched by the Inter-Region Economic Network. Now, the competition seeks to promote the best mix of technology and innovation in processes along the agribusiness value chains. Innovators are expected to address the region's challenges in terms of value addition, energy storage, logistics and marketing. The Lake region is known for fish, grain, vegetable, cash crop, dairy and livestock production. Participants will be taken through the procedures of refining their ideas up to ultimately pitching to potential partners and financiers on a competitive basis. Take a look.
We'll be identifying people who are willing to be the go-getters, people who are willing to not just sit and complain, but people who are willing to go out there and say, if there's a problem with the storage of grain, we have a solution. If we have a problem with how to make sure the vegetable is still fresh after it has traveled several kilometers to the market, we have a solution. Or we have a problem on how to access some farmland because there's no road. But we rarely invest in how to unlock this potential. So what we have here is an initiative that showcases possibilities of how we can unlock potential. And you can unlock potential without necessarily having to reinvent the wheel. We look for those who are already having the know-how, and that's industry, okay? And connect